What is up, everybody? Ethan back today with a album review. No beer today. I've got a really cool album to review today. One I've liked for many years. I listened to this style of music a lot when I was in college, 5 to 10 years ago. This is a band, kind of an underground, kind of lesser known band in a bigger genre of music called thrash metal. Metallica, kind of the most popular thrash metal band, Megadeth, Slayer, Anthrax, the other kind of three big ones from the United States, North America. But this is a band in that genre, if a little more extreme, from Brazil. This is the third album from Brazilian thrash and groove and death metal legends, Sepultura. This is Beneath the Remains. Kind of got a glare on it. You kind of see it there. It's a skull with like roses on it. Yeah, so this is an incredible album, and there's a picture of the guys right there. Pretty young at the time, all about 19, 20. And for them to be so young, this is an incredibly intense, focused, and powerful album to me. This was released in 1989, April 7th, 1989. It was recorded in the very end of 88. Produced by Scott Burns and the band Sepultura on the Roadrunner label, recorded in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. So a little background on these guys. Brazil and South America in general had a wave of thrash metal along with the American wave, and there was also a Canadian wave. But Brazil was kind of a hotbed for kind of the thrash metal underground, bands like Sarcophago. There's others, but so you had Canada, and then the United States with Metallica and Slayer and all those guys, Overkill, Exodus, Testament, love all those bands. And then you had the Brazilian, the South American, and then you also had the guys over in Europe. Thrash wasn't quite as big over there, but you had bands like Artillery from Denmark, of course, bands like Venom and Celtic Frost and Merciful Fate, kind of all over in Europe. They kind of helped kickstart the genre of thrash metal, death metal, black metal, that kind of stuff. But yeah, probably the biggest album from the Brazilian scene, Sepultura, Beneath the Remains, along with, I would say, their next album in 1991, Arise, which I also love. I don't own it, though. But yeah, third album, they released their first album in 86, kind of a real dark, raw, scary, heavy, black, kind of blackened thrash metal album in 86. So they were around pretty early, released in November of 86. And then Schizophrenia, their second album in 1987, also a really good album. Reminds me kind of like Ride the Lightning on steroids. This album, Beneath the Remains, their third. Trying to get a little glare. Reminds me of, take Metallica's And Justice for All, which came out the year before, so I feel like these guys were influenced by that record a little bit. Take And Justice for All by Metallica, which is one of my favorite Metallica albums, probably top 3 Metallica album. Underrated album, even though it has no bass, that album is just jam-packed with nasty riffs, great drumming. This reminds me of And Justice for All on steroids. There's a better picture of it. I took it out of there's a picture of the guys. The singer and rhythm guitarist extraordinaire, Max Cavalera, his brother Igor Cavalera, lead guitarist Andreas Kisser, and bass player Paulo Jr., they called him. It's a 4-piece. They started as a 3-piece. Just a killer, heavy thrash, and even I would say proto-death metal record here. And death metal is a genre of music I don't listen to a lot of, but in its early stages when it was still kind of thrash metal, I really like a lot of those records. And this is just one of my favorites in that style. Just a pummeling, heavy riff fest from beginning to end. This album has no ballads, no slow songs, no love songs. It's just boom, it kicks your butt from start to finish. The first track, Beneath the Remains, title track, has a little kind of acoustic intro, and then it just boom takes off like a freight train. Killer rhythm guitar. The drumming on this album is off the charts from an 18-year-old drummer. Yeah, 18-year-old drummer in Igor Cavalera. Just a killer title track. And the way the outro of that song kind of ends, it reminds me of One by Metallica, kind of the sounds of bombs going off and war and machine gun shooting. This album and the title itself is kind of a theme of war, chaos, kind of like a civilization in ruins beneath the remains, kind of a little bit of a play on the band's homeland of Brazil, which at the time had been going through some civil war and some sort of political unrest. So that theme kind of runs all through this album. Their first two albums were kind of the more scary, kind of, religious and satanic imagery. This album is all about war, chaos, political unrest, corruption, government corruption, political and war corruption. Much like Injustice for All, kind of reminds me of that. Like I said, this album is kind of like Injustice for All on steroids, but even better. And the vocals on this album, man, wow. He's singing really deep, more intense than like a Metallica vocal, like a proto-death metal. Max Cavalera, fantastic singer, fantastic guitar player. Maybe not technically the best voice, but for this style of music, perfect. Anyway, the next track, Inner Self, a little slower, a little heavier, a little doomy, has a killer riff, has a killer guitar solo in it from Andreas Kisser. He brought a lot of kind of more technicality to the band. Before that, they were kind of like a Venom and Celtic Frost kind of clone with like a real heavy three-piece with not a lot of, not a lot of tempo changes, not a lot of complex instrumentation. He brought a sophistication to this band, I think, that they really needed and really helped this album just bring them to the next level. And their first album where they came to the States, actually. Inner Self, great song. Stronger Than Hate, the next one. Really, really killer song. Has a nice outro bass solo from Paulo Jr. The fourth track, Mass Hypnosis, just a killer pummeling song. If you put this record on and you're going to like work out or something like that, you will just power through your sets. This is a energetic, aggressive album that just is motivating. If you're not having the best day or you feel unmotivated, you put this record on, you'll be in a better mood instantly, and you'll instantly feel more powerful, more motivated to power through that workout, that run, whatever. This is a killer album to listen to if you're working out or doing anything like that, or just had a bad day and want to kind of unwind. This album is like an emotional release of frustration. Just phenomenal album. And in the little booklet here, I'll show you guys some picture of the guys. There they are there. Again, Max Cavalera, vocalist, rhythm guitarist, his brother Igor, bassist Paulo Jr., and Andreas Kisser on lead guitar. We got some info about the album here, some lyrics, info about the recording. And there's another picture of them. Take the CD out. I love this picture of the guys right here. Look at that. If you can see it. Looking very thrash metal, very late 80s thrash metal, kind of like Metallica, kind of like Slayer. These guys were probably influenced more by Slayer than Metallica. Yeah, sorry about the glare, but not much I can do with the light in here. Yeah, just a killer thrash death metal classic. I would rate this like a top 5 thrash metal album for me. I like their other albums, but to me, I think this is their best. Getting back to the track listing, Sarcastic Existence, great song. Slaves of Pain, Slaves of Pain, great song, phenomenal. Lobotomy was a great song. Even side 2, it maintains the quality all through the album. It doesn't drop. Phenomenal side 1, probably the better side, but side 2 is just underrated as well, nearly as good. Hungry, Primitive Future is a killer pummeling thrash and death metal song. Just 9 tracks, barely 40 minutes, no wasted time. It's not boring. It gets in, kicks your butt, gets out. I love albums like that. Just a really good album. Again, can't recommend it enough. I wanted to come on here and review it. A little different album than what I've reviewed here recently. I talk a lot about a lot of 70s blues and southern rock and stuff like that. Late 80s thrash and death metal, don't talk a lot about, but it's a genre I really like and have been getting into here recently again. I've always liked it, kind of stopped listening to it for about 5 years, and here recently, like within the last month, I've really gotten back into it. And this has always kind of been one of the front runners in that genre of my favorites. Yeah, Sepultura, Beneath the Remains, one more look at it. Their third album, released in 1989. Great band. They're still around today. They have a new lead singer. The Cavalera brothers left to make a band called Soulfly. Have not listened to any of that. Don't know much about it. Don't know anything about the new Sepultura with the new singer, although I've heard some people like it, some people don't. But for me, those first 4 albums, killer. After that, I couldn't really care less. But this has always been probably my favorite. Max Cavalera, vocals and rhythm guitarist. Wonderful, heavy rhythm guitarist. He's right up there with like James Hetfield, you know, Kerry King and Jeff Hanneman from Slayer. He laid down some just killer, heavy, fast riffs. Great down picking. His brother Igor Cavalera on drums. Great drummer. Just phenomenal, underrated drummer. Even sometimes has a little Latin flair in the drums, seeing as how they're from Brazil, which I think is really cool. Andreas Kisser on lead guitar, really great player, fast, ripping solos, and then Paolo Jr. on bass is steady and then keeps the rhythm with the drummer really well. Just a great band. This is a powerful album. It's a moving album. The lyrics are great. They're poignant, relevant today, I feel like, still. Yeah, just a great album. Maybe not the easiest listen for beginners, but if you like metal and you like aggressive, heavy guitar and something like Metallica, but a step above even, check out this album, Beneath the Remains by Sepultura. I'll give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Maybe not a perfect album, but a really, really great album to me anyway from this band. And it's highly regarded in the, thrash metal community by fans. So yeah, can't recommend it enough. Check it out, Sepultura, Beneath the Remains. Thank you for watching this album review. Whoop, whoop. There we go.